you can have a plan. You can have everything written out, and your plan will survive exactly 0 seconds after the party decides to do something weird. So, you know, you might decide it's like, well, clearly they'll pick the lock to get out of the tower. It's like, oh no, they set the curtains on fire and jumped out the window, and it's 300 feet tall. Okay, all right.
Well, for the next 40 minutes, we want to talk about this exciting NFT opportunity. No, we're not here for that. We are not here for that, and you're not here for me. My name is John Riggs. I heard a shout out in the audience. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. But you're not here for me. You're here for our next guest. Would you please welcome to the stage our good friend, Mark Meer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, folks. Good to see you. Thank you very much. You should know that over 10,000 people applied to see this panel, and you are lucky winners, so congratulations.
Look at this.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm glad you're here. This is a bit of a welcome for you, all the way, I say all the way up north. I guess north isn't too far away from you, though.
Oh, sure, although I'm also out west. I'm near the Rockies, so I'm from Edmonton, Canada, yeah.
My goodness gracious.
So it was a bit of a flight, but I'm delighted to be here. Once again, in the Philadelphia area. I don't think I've been here since 2019.
That sounds about right. My goodness gracious. Your hairline, your ponytail was only so much.
I had short hair then. This is a pandemic haircut. I didn't have to do anything. It just happened. Yeah.
I guess we should jump right into it. So many people. Now, it's like the who's who of the games that you're in are all the best games already.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for saying so.
I mean, yeah, so like...
I certainly agree.
Now, when it comes to going through like a Dragon Age or a Baldur's Gate, do you even know what you're applying for or voicing for until the game is released?
Well, it was a special case with Mass Effect. I will say that normally, as a voice actor, especially in video games, they tend to keep things hush-hush, and some games more hush-hush than others. So often, you just go in, you know that you have an audition, and there'll be a code name for the game and even a code name for the character.
I see.
So that actually happened to me relatively recently. My agent called me up and said, you've got an audition for this game, and I went, okay, and so it was whatever code name for the game, and I think, you know, it was just like a normal name, like, you know, Steve or something, and they said, this is an alien. So I did a bunch of different takes in my audition reel, including, because I knew it was an alien and it seemed to be somewhat comedic, I did one that was just literally Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show, because he's an alien.
Right.
And
Fair.
so I didn't know what it was, and when I got there, I found out it was Gotham Knights, and I was playing Starro. Starro the Conqueror, the giant alien starfish, and I'm a big Silver Age DC Comics fan, so I was absolutely delighted to find out I was playing a classic Justice League villain. But in the case of Mass Effect and whatnot, I had been working with BioWare for a long time by that point, and I actually started working on Mass Effect in the concept art stage. Like, before anyone was cast, before things had been written, I was brought in and given like a big Bible of background information on all the alien races, and I was basically there to do a presentation to the devs on, this is what a typical member of the Solarian race sounds like. This is a typical Turian, here's a typical Krogan, and it was basically like pitching ideas for them, and they could take or leave, whatever. And so I knew, obviously I knew I was working on Mass Effect because they'd given me all this information. But during that process, they actually asked me, would you mind auditioning for the lead? Well, I wouldn't mind. I held out absolutely no hope of getting the role. I just thought, well, you know, sure, I'll do this, but we all know that I'll just play a bunch of aliens in the game. That's fine, because I'd mostly been playing monsters and whatnot up to that point, and bad guys. So it went through the normal process of, laying down my alien stuff, and it's like, oh, by the way, you also have a callback for Commander Shepard, could you do that? Sure. And got to the point where it's like, it's down to you and 2 other guys from LA. And I'm like, well, clearly one of the Los Angeles guys will get it. And I'll play a bunch of aliens. And then I found out, oh no, you will be playing Commander Shepard. Not only that, but opposite Jennifer Hale, one of the most prolific voice actors in history. Yes.
Well, shout out to
and I was a big fan of Jennifer's from not only like Knights of the Old Republic, but also her animation stuff. As I say, I'm a comic fan, so she did a lot of Justice League. She was the go-to Zatanna and Giganta and whatnot. Killer Frost, I think, too. So not only will you get to be that, you'll also get to be a bunch of aliens. So here I am.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Very roundabout way.
So yes, and to finally get back around to answering your question, sometimes you know, usually you don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I want to talk about Gotham Knights a little bit, because now you are canon in the Gothic Starverse universe.
Yes, exactly. I'm Starro.
You're Starro.
Starro the Conqueror, a big starfish.
But when you were voicing Starro, did you know that you were Starro until it came about? Or
yes. No, I didn't know until I was actually at the recording studio, and it's like we're actually laying down the tracks. And Anne LeMay, who worked on the Mass Effect games, she actually said, "Yeah, I really wanted you for this role, so I'm glad you got it." And then told me, "Oh yes, you're playing Starro." So I was just like, "Woohoo!" And so I was like, "Oh, so not Frankenfurter then? Don't do Frankenfurter." And they, probably not. Probably
because you would have to have an image of what you're voicing, and you think of Frankenfurter, or you think of like some kind of artist rendition
like
of
I
an
say,
alien,
I
but
did
a star.
When I thought it was Steve, I just did a bunch. It's like an alien named Steve. Okay, I'll just do a bunch of some very menacing versions. Right. Some obviously the Frankenfurter was in the more comedic vein, but I just you're just like, okay, what's an alien sound like? Here's a bunch of choices for you devs. Pick which one you want. Right. And obviously, had a good laugh of like, I don't think Frankenfurter is probably appropriate for Starro, though could be. You could totally see a take on Starro that is Frankenfurter, like, oh, Justice League, like that.
So, Mass Effect, right?
Hello, Batman.
Huge part of the, growing up during that time and everything like that. And I'm looking out in the audience. I'm going to guess, especially because you're here, 10. I'm hoping I get this right. I bet 10 people in the audience have a Mass Effect something or other tattoo on them right now.
I mean, are there 10 people in the? Yeah, oh yeah, we're in double digits.
Raise your hand if you have a Mass Effect tattoo, because I know several.
I've seen several just at my table. So yes.
So there
Mass Effect tattoo, N7 tattoos are very popular, and many others. I've seen a wide variety of tattoos this weekend, and other conventions.
All right, should we talk about Baldur's Gate? I mean, it's legendary, right?
Let's talk about Baldur's Gate.
Let's talk about Baldur's. Now, with Baldur's, so Mass Effect, Commander Shepard, legendary, iconic, and then Baldur's Gate, a plethora. You're like a whole village. You're a whole community.
I'm quite a few, especially because, well, I should say, Baldur's Gate 2 was my very first voice work in video games ever.
Oh, okay.
In that, I had less roles because I literally my character had one line, and it was in the final cutscene. So you had to play 40 hours or so of game to get to the final cutscene to see me as like an evil ball cleric, sitting around the table going, essentially, "We'll get you next time, Gadget." It was. I do remember my line. It was, "There is no need for concern. The fate of this fool is sealed." And that was it.
Oh, come on.
And I was just one of the guys piping in going like, this guy won't be a problem. But subsequently, I did a bunch of things in the DLC for that game, including Cyric, the God of Murder. If you know Forgotten Realms, Cyric is a character that's been in novels and whatnot, novels that I had read. So I was really excited at that point. It's like, oh, I'm playing a named character. Not only that, one of the evil gods. So I was very excited by that. And I played a number of monsters. I think I was a Baelor demon. I was Hobgoblin shaman, and Knoll number 2, I'm sure, and various roles like that. And then worked on more D&D games that they did, like Kingmaker and the original Neverwinter Nights. When Beamdog went back years later and redid all the Baldur's Gate games, I got to be one of the main party characters, Rasad, who is a Soul Sun monk.
Oh, sure.
And then, like mages here and there and all these. There's a guy named Adoy. There was probably about, again, a dozen characters. I got to be both heads of an Etten that were... It was not quite named Bert and Ernie, but it was something close. It was like Ernest and Bertram or something, these two Etten heads. And also, the major role, ultimately, that I got to play in that game was Baloth Baratil, who is a drow archmage at the time. And he is the boss of a thing called the Black Pits, which is like a gladiatorial mini game that you can play before you play the main campaign. And if you beat it, then he becomes an unlockable party character in the main game, if you like a chaotic evil drow in your party.
Yeah, that's what we're all here for, really.
Yeah, exactly. Chaotic evil drow. So there was, and then subsequent, like we did Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition and Siege of Dragonspear, and Baloth came back in all of those. I also played Volkhiln, who was what D&D players today would call a bardbarian. So he was like a barbarian, but also a bard, and he was called a skald, I think, essentially. And so he was like a Viking-themed bard who also could go berserk and things like that. Right. And they were a lot of fun because there were, some scenes where I'm playing against myself, much like in Mass Effect, like when Shepard runs into the Vorcha or Blasto or whatnot. Yeah.
So when it comes to like Baldur's Gate, it sounds like you were pretty busy. Was it just the one thing, and then they call you back for the DLC? Was the DLC already planned?
No, it was months later that I got called back for the DLC.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, well, I've worked in a video game and I got one line, but that one line, I guess BioWare liked it enough that they kept hiring me back and back. So I did all the DLC for that, and pretty much worked on every subsequent game. I did Jade Empire. I did, like I say, all those D&D games. I actually did do work on Knights of the Old Republic as well, the original Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But we kind of knew going in that we were just going to, like all the Canadian actors were just going to be doing demo work, because Lucasfilm had a stipulation that they said we only want LA actors in this, because a Canadian could clearly never pull this off. So I did hold out some hope, because I was the demo voice of Karth Onasi, who's one of the main companion characters. I didn't think I'd get him. Hilariously, though, the person who did end up being the permanent in-game Karth Onasi was Raphael Sabarge, who plays Caden in Mass Effect. And on a panel at Dragon Con, like right after I met him for the first time, somebody asked me a question, and I had to admit in front of Raphael that I killed Caden on both my Renegade and Paragon playthroughs. The explanation is, my Renegade was dating Ashley, so I wasn't going to kill my girlfriend on the Renegade playthrough.
Fair. Okay.
And then on the Paragon playthrough, well, he was too much of a Boy Scout to kill the lady, so of course he had to die there. But then I told him, but the real reason that I killed you on both playthroughs is because you took my role as Karth Onasi.
You see?
And yes. And as I say, I did hold out hope, because I did a bunch of Imperial officers in that.
Oh, okay.
And I know, as most people do, that Imperial officers should probably have British accents. Which I did. And so I was like, I know that Lucasfilm wants LA actors, but I think I did a good job on those officers, and they're not big roles, so maybe I'll get to stay. And then I was told, no, you got replaced because they wanted LA actors, and I was like, oh, well. And then, they kind of looked down, and I was like, what? It's like, yeah, and the guy they got couldn't do an English accent, so he's just got a Californian accent. And I was like, no, the injustice of that.
You put all this work
George
into it.
Lucas. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yes.
Well,
I don't know if it was him, but it was someone at Lucasfilm.
Baldur's Gate 2, a great thing to have on a resume. Going into video gaming, and then the other games you've done in the past. But what did you do before video games?
Video games. It was basically, I found out that we had a video game company in town after a bunch of my fellow improvisers and comedians, which is what I tended to do in theater. They basically got cast to play all the voices in a very early BioWare game called MDK2.
Oh, anybody, right?
Yeah. And
I like that game.
Two local improv/comedy troupes called Three Dead Trolls in a Baggie and Atomic Improv, and both of which I worked with a lot. They basically got cast to do the entirety of the characters in those. So I was like, if you find out about any auditions, please let me know. And they did say, yeah, I think there's something coming up. And BioWare used to have what they called cattle call auditions back in the day, where it was just like, every actor in town show up at this studio and do a few voices in the booth. And then, that's what I got Baldur's Gate 2 out of. Okay. But yes, before video games, theater, largely theater. So some voice work, but like radio. Got a radio sketch comedy show for many years on CBC Radio, which is our Canadian national broadcaster. And I, of course, had played a lot of video games.
Sure.
And ultimately, I played a lot of Dungeons & Dragons, too. So when BioWare was working on these Dungeons & Dragons based game, I think that actually gave me an in, and that might be why just one line got me all this work on the D&D games, because there was a real shorthand. They could call me in. I also lived like 10 minutes from the studio at that time.
Right.
When they're in their old studio. So they could call me in and put me in the booth and just go, okay, this guy's a kobold shaman. And I wouldn't go, what's a kobold? What's a shaman? I would just go, yes, they're lawful evil. And, I would know, I know what god they worship, Kurtulmek,
Yes.
and
so you already had an in.
Yeah, so
just by being a fan.
Yeah, there was that shorthand. I think that might have helped. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go to school for theater or anything like that?
I did not. I have no formal training. No, I didn't even do any drama or improv or anything like that in high school, because I went to school in a very small town on the prairies, which did not offer drama at all. There wasn't an option. I had to take art by correspondence. So it was basically either sports or scholastics, and I am not a sports guy. So yeah, it was Dungeons and Dragons was my creative outlet, like all through junior high and high school. It was my first improv experience, my first acting experience, my first writing experience. Right. So yeah, I owe a lot to D&D.
It all comes back to D&D. Well, and we'll talk more about that here in a moment too. But another game you worked on, Last Dark. Of all games.
Oh, the Long Dark.
Last Dark.
No, Last Dark's another game.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
The Long Dark.
Yes.
Long Dark. Very long, very dark, very cold. Did you use your Canadian coldness for inspiration?
I got to use my Canadian accent in that. Like when we were recording Mass Effect, we did have a fellow who was one of the engineers at BioWare was actually American. And I relied on him to keep me honest if I was sounding too Canadian. Right. Like he would say, I kind of heard an a boot there. And I was like, I don't really say a boot. That's more of an Eastern thing. But he's like, no, I can hear it as an American. So maybe a little more about. Go a little more about.
Yeah.
I wasn't really doing an accent for Shepard, but I was moderating my Canadian accent. What was the other one? Against. Like Canadians would say against. And Americans would say against.
Right.
So yeah, he would always, he would just say the one word. Like if that word was in a line, and I said it Canadian style, he'd just go against. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. I'll go do that again.
Because that game is a lot of, it's a lot of crafting, it's a lot of survival, and then for a game like that, are you in the studio for a couple hours to do all the voices all at once, or do you come back and retakes? And there's a lot of dialogue in that.
There is very much dialogue in Mass Effect because this was one of the very first games with a voiced protagonist. So both Jennifer Hale and I had a lot of dialogue in those games. And the other thing is they never want to keep you in the booth for like more than 4 hours at a stretch because even if you don't feel tired, you'll be able to detect. It's like, oh yeah, this was recorded at the end of the day because the voice quality is somewhat different. It's like, very tired vocal cords. And so they would never schedule us for more than 4 hours a day, which meant it was spread out over months and months of work. And you weren't in necessarily every day, but it would be like, okay, we need you all 5 days next week. We need you from Monday to Wednesday the following week, and then maybe you'll have a week off, and then we'll need you for 2 weeks straight. So things were being written in process, too, so it would depend.
Yeah, and then like with Jennifer Hale, are you voicing your lines at the same time, like having a conversation, or just individual? Or
well, because we are playing the same character, we had to really make sure that we essentially, they were very good about, if as an actor you could go, it's a bit of a mouthful to say the line this way. Could I reverse it? Sounds more natural that way. And they'd be, yeah, sure, no problem. But they had to track things very closely because if I was recording the scene first and changed something, they had to make sure that down in California, Jennifer got like the changes. So, and vice versa. If she had recorded first, then they would get any changes to me and make sure. And again, they didn't require us to like imitate each other or anything, but they did say you have to keep your timings very similar. Like if it takes one of us 30 seconds to say this line of dialogue, you can't take 35 to say it when you're doing the other recording. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's a lot going on. And maybe we'll go back to your improv background and your radio background to just time things right on the, hit those posts, if you will, right?
Yes, yeah, so that was handy. And certainly, people often ask, oh, you're an improviser. You must have got to improvise some lines. It's like, nope. No, I did not. Because they certainly wouldn't let you alter the plot in any way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. All right. And then I guess if you improvise a line, then they would have to send the improvised line.
Yes, exactly. So for the most part, it was just like, changing the structure of a sentence maybe. So that, again, like there's that Harrison Ford thing. It's like, well, you sure type this thing, but you can't say it, So sometimes it would just be like, saying this out loud, you'd probably want to say this part of the sentence first and then the second. So
my goodness. So a lot of video games going on, but then also going back to the live stage theater, improv. Are you still doing improv?
Oh yes, all the time. Yeah.
All the time.
In fact, I just did a couple of months ago the London Improvathon, which is a 50-hour-long show, one continuous narrative, and a lot of the actors do it without sleeping, including me. And we started that in Canada, actually, and the guys from England came over. They were guests in ours, and then they started their own in London. And theirs is still going to this day. Like, we both took a break from the pandemic because doing a 50-hour-long show during a pandemic is just not going to happen. But they have started theirs up again more recently, so I still go over and do that whenever I can.
How do you do 50 hours? I mean, it's hard enough just to stay awake for 50 hours, let alone be on and mentally.
Well, you're not on stage the entire time, but you could be called on stage at any moment. So we basically, when we do one of these, you know what the setting is, and you know what your character is. And you come in, it's not, t-shirts and jeans improv. It's like, if you're doing a period piece, you're wearing a period costume. Maybe you got a wig or whatnot, and you're playing... You come in, this is my character's name, and this is how they fit into the setting. Then we have a director, and sometimes a team of directors, who calls the scenes at the same, so you hear it at the same time that the audience does over the microphone. So it'd be character A and character B meet in this location, and they might suggest an action. So you might get called on, or you might get called in halfway through a scene, so you have to be ready to go at any moment. And every 2 hours, they take like a 10, 15-minute intermission, which lets you run to the bathroom, and there's usually, they have food sponsors, so there's like hot, fresh food constantly being delivered, so eating constantly does kind of help keep you up. You don't want to do it too much because you know there is the going to the bathroom thing as well. So it's very much like, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. They shoot horses, don't they? Where it's about a dance marathon.
Oh my goodness.
It's an old movie, but it's like that. It's like, it is a marathon endurance test and also a test of comedic prowess because you got to be funny after you've been awake for 2 days straight.
Right. If you're not aware, Mark here is your favorite dungeon master's favorite dungeon master.
Oh, really?
You've been doing dungeon mastering? There's
dungeon mastery?
Sure,
yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
And this, again, goes back to the D&D, and you do the video games, you do a lot, and you're still, and this is not just like the generic, like when we say Band-Aid for adhesive strip, it's licensed Dungeons & Dragons, what you're doing too.
Yeah, so I've been doing an event for a number of years now called D&D in a Castle, which is exactly what it sounds like. There's a company called Tabletop Vacations that books out castles in Europe, and they've done Germany and France. I've mostly done the UK ones. And you get basically the whole castle to yourself, and there'll be, anywhere from 6 to 12 tables, so 6 to 12 dungeon masters. You sign up with whichever dungeon master you want, and we do like a 4-day campaign.
That's amazing.
And it's so we do session 0 on the first day, and then there's like a big costume ball, and then the next 3 days are like 8 hours of Dungeons and Dragons. So it's a 24-hour campaign plus whatever you do in the session 0. So yeah, it's an intensive for sure, and very immersive because you're playing in an actual castle.
It's a literal castle.
It is a literal castle, yeah. And they've started doing ones here in the States, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, I did my first one in the States last year. I'm going there next week, as a matter of fact, next weekend, to Landell's Mohican Castle in Ohio. Now, these castles are, of course, not authentic castles like the ones in Europe.
From the 1300s, right?
No. These are of more recent vintage. But the thing is that there are rich people who are big fans of castles, and sometimes they build castles to live in, and then they pass away, and then their families sell them, and they get turned into hotels. And that's these are the castles we play in. I will say, however, that the ones here in the States tend to look way more like fantasy D&D castles than the real ones.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So.
And what would you say maybe the differences are between, like, here's what a castle looks like in movies, film, what we have in the United States versus an actual castle in the UK?
Well, the actual castles in the UK, they seem somewhat plain because they're actually built for defense, like they were literally built because the Vikings might show up at any moment. And, so we mostly play on the north of England where they built all the castles because that's where the Vikings were raiding. And, some of them are more castle-y than others. Some have been turned into, luxury hotels, so they look more like fancy houses, except from the outside. There's turrets and things like that. But we have played in a few where it's like, oh, no, this looks like a keep. Like, this is like a solidly built for defense keep, and some of the arrow slits have been replaced by windows, but there's, armor and weapons on the wall and that kind of thing. The one that we played in quite a bit actually had a ghost, a number of ghosts, actually, but one specific ghost noticed that they actually had an escape room built around and was like a local legend.
Oh my, that's...
Yeah, and the ones that are here in the States, they like the one that I'm going to in Ohio. It looks much more Rivendell-ish, you know. It is it is more fantasy and more
which is
more
fun.
fanciful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fun.
More whimsical, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But you're actually running this too. I mean,
I'm one of the DMs. Yeah,
you're one of the DMs. So people who book this.
Yeah. You'd actually sign up, and I think that they've got a slightly cheaper alternative where it's just sort of like, yes, whatever DM is cool, surprise me.
Right.
But there are people who specifically book at my table.
Right.
And I believe I'm sold out for this this round. So it's a little too late for next week. I am doing ones in spring of 2026 over in the UK. I will say this at the outset. This is a pricey event. It's a good bucket list item. I probably couldn't afford to go as many times as I have if they weren't, just bringing me over to DM. But I mean, I've talked to many people who've done it, and people who've only done it once are like, that was an amazing thing, and I'm saving up now to do it again.
Sure, it's like the first time you go on a cruise or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Are these inclusive as well? Like once you're there, you're done?
Oh yeah,
like,
once you're there, all your food is taken care of. They don't include booze like a cruise would.
Oh, okay, well,
yeah. Which is probably good, because otherwise people get a little sloppy at the table. People set their own rules. I never mind if somebody has a beer at my table. Like I might have one at the end of the day myself.
Sure.
But it's sort of like you do need to be able to add up the results of your die rolls. You know. Don't leave it all to D&D Beyond. Yeah.
My goodness gracious. We still have plenty of time, too. If you have any questions, I believe... Is this the microphone? Let's see.
Do we have a mic?
Here? This is the microphone right here. So
there we
if you
go.
have any questions, come on up and ask away. Could be about anything Mass Effect, Baldur's Gate 2.
This is an Ask Me Anything.
So in Mass Effect, what was your personal favorite line to do as Shepard?
Favorite line? Okay, well, I have to say... that, there is the catchphrase that Shepard has, which was never intended to be a catchphrase. I should go. It became the catchphrase just because Jennifer and I say that so many times, or variations of it, like, I have to go, I should go.
This is my favorite place on the Citadel.
Oh, yes, there's that one, of course, as well. That is also a popular one.
Yeah.
But because we said I should go so many times, it became sort of a de facto catchphrase, and I will give BioWare full credit. They could have paid us to record that once and then just used it again every time, but no, every time we said I should go, it was a new take on I should go, so there was that.
Yeah.
My favorite store on the Citadel, again, that one was a little more tailored because, it was an actual in-joke, but it took off like a rocket. People loved that one. And then, of course, there is a line that is not actually in the games, that was never spoken by me when I was recording for BioWare. I have Manslayer and Gamer Poop to thank for Will Bang, okay?
There it is. We were waiting for it.
Oh, yeah. No, and I have written that on autographs and Mass Effect merch as much as anything that's actually in the games. And I remember I think it was at Dragon Con that someone, ran up to me and was just like, "Could you say Will Bang okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Because I was actually a fan of Gamer Poop, like, before they did Mass Effect. Like, I was a fan of their Skyrim stuff. So when they did their first Mass Effect video, like, a friend of mine called me up and was just like, "Dude, Gamer Poop did Mass Effect." I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure." And I was so excited, and then they did like a dozen of them. So yes, I do enjoy Will Bang okay, and I do enjoy I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite blank on blank, which I've done, again, many voice recordings, many cameos. I am available for cameos for all your Mass Effect catchphrase-related needs, keep in mind.
That's all right.
So that my favorite line, although my favorite blank on the blank, my favorite store on the Citadel is great, and I do enjoy it, I should go just because it came about completely out of the blue. I enjoy that one. Okay. And also Will Bang, okay.
All right. I should go.
I should go.
Yes. Yes, you should. Do you remember how many times you voiced that? Because there was so many.
There were so many, and like I say, it was actually like there were variations. Like I have to go, and when I was recording, I would usually use that one. Because I'd just be we had long sessions, so I'd just go to my director. I have to go if I need to go to the bathroom.
He's like, "That's a take." Yeah.
Yes, but I can't remember. I think it was Jennifer who solidified it as "I should go" as the catchphrase, and it was for a while there. It was like "I have to go, I should go." Who's going to win? It's like, "Oh no, I should go" is the clear winner. So.
Okay, well, at least you have some separation. So you have the "I have to go." She can keep the "I should go."
Oh no, I'm taking "I should go." That's the one on T-shirts. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
yes,
we'll share that one.
Hello.
Hello.
So, in all your years of dungeon mastering and game mastering through various systems, what is something you have learned that you wish you knew early on?
In all my years of dungeon mastering, what's something that I wish I knew early on? I will say that when I actually started doing improv, it really helped my Dungeons and Dragons games. And I wish I'd known more of the formal sort of rules of improv. Like, I know you sort of instinctively do it, like the not blocking, accepting, saying yes. I wish I'd had a little more improv training, back in my, 9th grade days when I was doing it. So yeah, I would say I wish I'd taken some more improv classes earlier and incorporated those rules into my Dungeons & Dragons play, but better late than never.
Thank you so much.
Not at all.
Makes it so you can thinking you're fly by the seat of your pants, kind of like.
Oh yeah, well
Shepard.
you have to when you're a dungeon master.
Right.
You can have a plan. You can have everything written out,
yeah.
and your plan will survive exactly 0 seconds after the party decides to do something weird. So, you might decide, it's like, well, clearly they'll pick the lock to get out of the tower. It's like, oh no, they set the curtains on fire and jumped out the window, and it's 300 feet tall. Okay, all right. We'll see how it goes.
Yes, sir.
Dungeon Master Shepard.
Hello, sir. Rex.
Yeah. I was just curious if you've ever seen the Mass Effect conversion for Dungeons and Dragons 5e, and if you've ever played it, and
I have.
What are your thoughts on it?
I thought it was great. I actually, during the pandemic that we talked about earlier, I did a couple of sessions playing with a reskinned 5e Mass Effect version, and we did 2 campaigns. One was a CSEC campaign where I played a character that was very much like Blasto, that was just like a Hanar who was like a dirty Harry style cop. That was just a, take no prisoners cop. And then I did another one called Mercs, where I played essentially a version of the Biotic God, who was just like a Volus, who actually was a really powerful Biotic. So yeah, I had a lot of fun playing both of those. And Jennifer Hale and I, both for N7 Day with the devs, we streamed I don't know if you've played Blades in the Dark.
I have not.
It's a good system. And we played a version of that called Omni Blades in the Dark. And that also was great. It felt like Mass Effect. And more recently, I know it's not an RPG, but Modifius just put out a Mass Effect board game called Priority Hagalaz. And I got to play it. I went over to London for their launch. They treated me very well, and I got to play it and stream it. And that board game really does feel like Mass Effect. And any board game, you can always introduce RPG elements if you want. All you have to do is do a voice while you're moving your characters around.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I should go.
Thank you. You should go.
Yeah. That's also the rule, too. You have to say, in a different way than the last person, I should go as you exit.
I should go. I should go.
I should go.
I should go.
Right.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
I got 2 questions for you.
Yes.
One, is there any deleted scene you did for Mass Effect you can talk about that was recorded, never got used, that
Yes.
sticks out to you?
Although these have been discovered by clever players who've dug into the code and pulled them out. So, as you probably know, in Mass Effect 3, you can actually, male Shepard can actually have a romantic relationship with Kaidan. But we recorded dialogue for that romance option in Mass Effect 1. And we did all the dialogue for it, we did all the branches, Raphael and I both recorded both sides of that. And then that got cut. But because it was already embedded in the code, people were able to go in and pull that out. And so there are mods that enterprising players have put that storyline back together. So that's, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that was deleted per se. Not that I recall, maybe an individual scene here or there, or it's just we just cut that encounter or whatnot. But yeah, that was probably the biggest sort of storyline thing that was cut, that ultimately got put back in by fans.
I'll have to look that up. Second question also, Quarians or the Geth, you can't save both. Which one?
Quarians or Geth can't save both.
Cannot save both.
What if I'm really good, though? What if
You
I'm really
just
good at the
can't.
game? Because you can.
You're on
It's
the
hard,
spot.
but you can do it.
Tally or Legion?
Okay. Well, I mean, my Paragon was romancing Tally, so probably the Paragon would save the Quarians. No offense to DC, of course. I love Legion. I really gravitated, almost in any game, I will tend to gravitate towards the more non-human companions. So In Mass Effect, it was like obviously Garrus and Tali and Legion, and my Renegade specifically was really good buddies with the Krogan. So even on my Renegade playthrough, I would usually go as Renegade as possible, but except anything to do with the Krogans, because it was just like, no man, Krogans are my bros. You're not messing with the Krogans, so yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Oh, hold on.
Shepard.
Rex. I'll accept that. That's
good.
an
I like
acceptable
that.
substitute.
Subtle.
Acceptable substitute.
I like subtle.
Yeah.
And then the opposite of subtle.
Hello.
Commander. So I have a little bit of an unusual question.
Yes.
You mentioned during the panel discussion that Mass Effect was basically like a pioneer game as far as the main protagonist being a voiced protagonist compared to, let's say, Half-Life, for example, that
Sure.
was...
Or like the earlier Fallout games, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, so of course, most people treat this game as a sort of like quote-unquote self-insert when the player gets really immersed into the universe and try to play as themselves. The thing is, I personally see Shepard as a separate character, as a character himself. So I am curious about your headcanon Shepard. Who is this character? And I'm not talking about necessarily choices, like, for example, to cure the genophage or not.
Sure.
But who is Shepard? Like, what are his morals? Like, how do you see John Shepard?
Well, now that's a very interesting question because that was actually an interesting challenge for both Jennifer and I because there is no canon Commander Shepard. Like there is no, male Shepard is not canon any more than female Shepard is. And Paragon Shepard is no more canon than Renegade. So within that spectrum, Shepard could be everything from a by the books, in D&D terms, lawful good Boy Scout, or a borderline sociopath who is still saving the galaxy, but just being like very rude and violent about it. So there is no, like, most people, like, playing a companion character or whatnot, they could talk about like, oh yeah, well, Garrus is like this, Tali is like this. But Shepard is completely in the hands of the players, including their background. Like, they may have been a criminal who grew up, like, in a street gang on Earth. They may have been the child of an admiral who grew up in space. So it's, like, such a wide variety that one thing that we did have to find, as you say, was sort of what is the core of Commander Shepard, whether male or female, Renegade, Paragon. And what we came up with was the core of Shepard is an officer who's very used to giving orders under pressure and is pretty unflappable, whether, good or, chaotic neutral, as they say. So that was basically the core of Shepard. And then morally, ethically, could be very flexible, but the core, again, is this very capable military officer, and that's essentially what we had to hold on to. Other than that, like I say, a very wide variety of options could be open.
Right, but my question was more like how you imagine Shepard when you played him.
Well,
that's what I'm curious about, your take on it.
Doing the recording, I had to give both equal weight because you have to understand, like, you have to give the person who's playing Renegade, the player who's playing Renegade, just as much consideration as the person playing Paragon.
Right.
So I did like both versions. Like when I played it myself, when I have a moral choice in video games, I always like to play the so-called evil option first. Like when I played Fallout, I blew up Megaton on my first playthrough. But there's a reason behind that. And also, like when I played Knights of the Old Republic, I went Sith first. It's because when I do my evil playthrough first, I feel I can be completely free to do whatever I want. And then when I do my good playthrough, I feel like I'm redeeming myself for all the shitty things that I did the first time through. If you do it the other way around, it becomes hard because it's like, oh, if I did my good Fallout playthrough first and I like lived in Megaton and became friends with everybody, it's like, when it comes time to do the evil playthrough, it's like, I can't blow up Megaton. Those are my friends. I can't, or the same thing. It's like, I can't be mean to Garrus, So I find when that's the way I like to do it. Do evil first and then redeem yourself rather than the good playthrough and then be shitty to all your friends.
Sounds good. Thank you, Commander. I should go.
Oh, thank you. Oh, and sorry for swearing. I didn't know if I could swear. And yet I did anyway.
Too late.
Too late.
Yeah, there's no cap now.
You should swear more.
Hello?
Should swear more.
Hi, Mark.
Hello. Do you mind if I take a picture of you in your cosplay?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
There we go.
Yes. Thank you.
Praise the sun.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Please, your question.
Praise the sun. Now, Mark.
Yes.
In 2023, you starred in Gordon, a Batman fan-made film.
That's
as
right.
the
So
Joker.
in 2023, I did do a fan film called Gordon, a Batman fan film, yes, in which I played the Joker. Yes, please go on.
How'd you feel about doing that?
I felt great about doing that. It was an amazing script. It's funny, it came about because I was actually doing a Call of Cthulhu actual play for Chaosium called Bookshops of Arkham. And one of the players in it was a guy I'd known for a number of years, and we played D&D together on his stream. He was with D4, and Patrick Logan was his name. And while we were recording Bookshops of Arkham, Patrick came up to me and said, "Oh, hey, Mark, I know that you're a big comic book reader and you're a comic book fan. I'd like you to look at this Batman fan film I wrote." And I went, "Yeah, of course, sure." And it was like a nice tight 12 to 13 minute script, and I read it, and it was amazing. It was like really, really good. And it's basically the heart of it is a scene between Commissioner Gordon and the Joker in the back of a police van on the way to Arkham Asylum. Like, it starts with the Joker getting arrested, beat up by Batman, and he gets thrown in the back. And the meat of it is this great scene between Joker and Gordon. And I read this and was amazed by it, and was just like, "Oh, Patrick, this is a great script. I have no notes because it's already great. Listen, if you need anybody to play the Joker, let me know." He went, "That's why I gave it to you, because I want you to play the Joker." I was like, "Yes, please." And we shot that over the course of 3 days in Atlanta. And it was great. It was a fantastic experience from beginning to end. Jonathan Williams, who plays Commissioner Gordon, was an amazing scene partner. He's a great actor. He's actually won a number of awards for that performance. And Gordon, the Batman fan film, is currently on the festival circuit of fan films, obviously, and it's racking up some wins. And that was done by Creative Force Films, and as I say, written and directed by Patrick Logan in the very first thing he ever directed. And what a script. It was so good. And everybody in it, from top to bottom, what a fantastic crew. Of course, it's a fan film, so everybody's just doing it for the love. I'm very, very proud of that. And it is, I should mention, available on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. So, Gordon, a Batman fan film by Creative Force Films. So, thank you for bringing that up so I could plug it.
Yes, it was a very obscure question. You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
you.
I appreciate that.
Very good. Yeah, taking you back to Gotham. Look at this.
Yeah,
You've been
here
to
we
Gotham
go.
twice already.
I got to be the Joker and Starro.
I know. You got a summer home there.
I only got paid to be Starro, though.
Oh, okay.
But I very gladly did the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Commander Shepard.
Rex?
I was going more for Garrus, but okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
You're good.
You have to mention calibration so I know you're Garrus.
True.
Or at least talk about your reach and flexibility.
Yeah. But any case, I'm pretty sure you know a fair bit about how people do their sort of relationships with the other characters as Commander Shepard. Mm-hmm. Of course, as an example, I always have Tally as a romance option and Garrus as a sort of bro, sort of in that sort of mindset. But I'm a bit curious on what your thoughts are on the different characters, how your Shepard is, or how your Shepard reacts and talks with each of the different characters of the Normandy.
Oh, sure. Well, I can tell you what I did on my playthroughs. As I say, I played Renegade first, so my Renegade romanced Ashley in the first game, and then switched over to Miranda in the second game. And that is largely because I didn't show fidelity to my lovers, because I knew that Ashley wasn't going to be around much in the second game, just one scene basically. So I wanted to see more of my work. So it's like, oh, okay, I'll switch to somebody that I know you can actually have scenes with in the second game. And it was the same with my Paragon. I started with Liara in the first game, and then switched over to Tali in the second game. And I think I talked about my Renegade complete bros with Rex, and then later with Grunt as well. And Garrus, of course. Garrus is always Shepard's bro for sure.
Obviously.
Yeah. And Morden as well. Again, I like the non-human characters, so yeah, Morden is awesome. I love Morden.
All right, that's good to hear. Now, if you'll excuse me, Shepard, I need to go I need to go do some calibrations. The Normandy's cannons aren't going to fix themselves.
Hey, you're Garrus.
There we go. See it. Good call. And when you play through these games yourself, which is nice too about this because, you know, not only is he voice them, you actually play video games too.
Oh, yeah, I do. And, I mean, I played Mass Effect. I probably logged, in video games terms, I've logged the most hours in Fallout 4.
Oh, yeah.
Because I got so into building shit, man. I gotta tell you. I spent so much time in the wasteland looking for scrap metal.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I just became obsessed with like decorating the settlements that I'd made. So like, there was one settlement that I just turned into one big Star Wars bar, essentially. So I sent all the cool looking companions there. So like Strong was there, Nick Valentine was there, like everybody who looked interesting. I dressed all the settlers there in the coolest and weirdest costumes I could find, and then had bars everywhere. And it got to the point where I was raiding raider camps just for empty pint glasses and lit cigarettes.
Oh, just to...
So I could take them back and balance the cigarette very carefully on an ashtray. And until I downloaded the mod that let you nail down decorations, it was just like, it was like rolling, you know, it was like Sisyphus trying to roll the rock uphill in Hades.
My goodness.
I'd come back and it would just be, the settlers knocked all my lit cigarettes over.
No.
Where are they? I have to pick them up from the corners of the rooms and slowly spend like 20 minutes trying to get one into position. It was a sickness. It was a sickness.
That's like extreme Animal Crossing. Just trying to...
And so, yeah, of course, I had to play the games that I got to be the main character in.
Right.
That's the kind of nerd I am.
But the dialogue is so dialogue heavy. Like when you play through and choose a different route, are you like, what did I say during that time? I forgot. I need to say, like, I did say that.
Yeah, well, there would be some times where I'd play through and it'd be like, I guess that take was okay, but I know I did a better take. I did a better take on that one. So
you're going to be your own worst critic then.
But I'm not the one who chooses the takes, so like I must give that over to the others.
All right, fair enough. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
I don't know if you remember me from yesterday, but I told you how about that I was Canadian also.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Good to see you again.
And today I saw, that's not my question, but it's like a in parentheses thing. I told Courtney Taylor that I saw you, and she asked me if we had a secret Canadian handshake.
Yes.
Oh.
So I said, yes, we did.
Well, yeah, but we can't tell all these Americans about
Yeah, that's
it.
right.
It's a secret.
So if she asked...
We're involved in a trade war, don't you know?
That's right. So if she asked you, just make stuff up. You're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It's real, it's real.
But yeah, it's like this. You do the moose thing. Then you slap your butt on the ground like a beaver, and
Of course, yeah. But my question was, since you've been playing a lot of games and been in a lot of games as well, if you had either a game or a franchise that's happened, or like an older game or a game that's coming up, or anything, what game or franchise would you love to voice act in or be part of? And if more specifically, what character would that be?
Okay.
Like, it could be something that's coming up, an older game, like, would you take that person's role because you're like, oh, I would really be good in that, or I love that kind of character, or like, just because you love that franchise so much?
Sure.
Okay.
Good question.
Well, if you come to the cosplay contest tomorrow that I'm hosting, you will see, as mentioned, I'm a big Fallout fan.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to be hosting the cosplay contest as an OC, an original character, that I made up called Max Rads, who is a ghoul. I actually hosted the Dragon Con parade as him last year. So he is a ghoul, but he's not the Walton Goggins ghoul. He's a ghoul in a vault suit.
Okay.
And so I kind of did him as a mashup costume, and then just in the course of like improvising while hosting things, I sort of his backstory started to fill in. So I made up the backstory that he was in Vault 33, like the TV show Vault.
Okay.
And he was supposed to be in there, but then during orientation, he stepped outside for a cigarette, and they closed the vault. So he was in the vault suit. And so yeah, there's a whole story I've got for him. So definitely doing something in Fallout would be fantastic. I would love to do that.
Maybe another fan film.
Yeah, exactly. You never know. Funnily enough, there's a big Fallout event in Orlando at the end of July. And it's a big cosplay event. They're just bringing in cosplayers and things like that. And they had seen me in my Fallout ghoul. They got a hold of me and said, hey, we're bringing in cosplayers. Do you want to? And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds fantastic. Then they realized it's like, wait, you're the guy who plays Commander Shepard. And I was like, yeah, I am. Also a Fallout fan. And they were like, you should probably just be a regular guest then. So I will be going to do that. And Fallout, of course, I like the ghouls in Fallout. So playing a ghoul in Fallout would be anything in Fallout, really, I'd love to do. Beyond that, I'm a huge comic book fan. I have got to play a DC Comics supervillain. I would love to play a Marvel supervillain because I've always been a villains guy. And my favorite villain of all time is probably Doctor Doom. He's getting a lot of play these days, of course, yeah, because of the upcoming stuff. I got to play a parody of him, essentially. There's a TV show in Canada called Tiny Plastic Men, where I was one of the creators on it.
Oh.
And one of the stars as well, one of the writers. And I got to introduce a character named Dr. Von Chaos, who is essentially a very thinly veiled homage to Doctor Doom. Sort of visually, he looks like a combination of the Red Skull and Doctor Doom, and has his own country and has a bunch of robots that look like him. So he's very much Doctor Doom, and he's very much, you know, that's the one thing that in a lot of the films that have done Doctor Doom, and I hope Robert Downey Jr. is going to do this, they don't give him the extravagant Eastern European accent that he definitely should have. Like it should be Reed Richards, you know. So they often Americanize him a bit. So I would love to get to play Doctor Doom in some way or shape or form.
All right, cool. Thank you. I should go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Latveria salutes you.
And Tiny Plastic Men is streaming currently?
It is. I know it was available for a long time in the States on Amazon Prime.
On Prime, okay.
But I think some enterprising soul has put the whole thing up on YouTube.
Oh, well.
So yeah, and it might be on Tubi as well by now, because this was like years and years ago.
Cool.
So
Okay.
yeah, if you look up Tiny Plastic Men, I'll plug it. Sure, it is essentially a hybrid of a sitcom and a sketch comedy show.
Love it.
So the sitcom plot is about three guys who work as prototype testers for this struggling toy company that, you know, its best days are behind it. It's like an old established toy company.
Right.
But these days, everything that the toy company makes is either extremely dangerous or unsuitable for children or radioactive or possessed by demons or some variation of that.
I love it.
And the world that they're in became more and more weird as they went along. Like, I kind of had oblique references to, oh, there's a country that's ruled by a supervillain, and then eventually he just shows up on camera. And it's a hybrid because it switches, rather than going to a B plot, they'll often just throw to a sketch, kind of like Family Guy will throw to like one of their cutaway gags. Right. And so Dr. Von Chaos first showed up in one of those sketches, and then completely because I kept pushing for it, he eventually just showed up in the main plot, and he was like dating their boss for a while. So yeah.
As one does.
As one does. As
Okay.
one does. Yeah, I think, I managed to wheedle in. Oh yeah, the plot was they had the license to produce toys based on Dr. Von Chaos.
Okay.
And every 100 years they had to renew the contract with him, so that's how he showed up. So yes, check it out, Tiny Plastic Men, please.
I am a dungeon master, and from one dungeon master to another, what is your favorite class and why?
Favorite class? I tend to almost exclusively play spellcasters. Like way back when, I think my very first character was straight up fighter, but I really enjoy spells. So these days when I play, because again, you know, getting to play is great. You know how it is when you're a DM, you always have to DM. But when I get to play, I like to play usually wizard, warlock, sorcerer, sometimes a bard, but almost always something that casts spells. And on Black Dice Society, I played the party cleric, so yeah.
Yeah, it's about the same here. I like magic users. My big thing is that for my campaign, I play as a warlock named Plague Von Montague. And
So what is your patron?
the patron is myself because he is just so self-absorbed that he's basically.
I like that.
He is a absolute narcissist to the point to where he's completely lost in his own mind.
That works for me. If it works for whoever is your DM, then yes.
Oh yeah, and his deity is actually another version of himself from a different reality that became the superior being, and basically he operates on the same basis as Cain the Conqueror.
Nice.
Just multiple different versions of different universes that one after another daisy chain one another to each other.
Nice.
So that's the way they control each other.
Like I say, I play warlocks myself. I often tend to like the Great Old One as a patron because I'm a big Call of Cthulhu fan as well. And in most recently, I played a warlock who was very much based on Hunter S. Thompson, who was named Hunter B. Gatherin. And he worshipped a Great Old One by the name of Meta, which gave me complete license to make all kinds of metatextual jokes and metagame and get away with it. So yeah, I quite enjoyed that.
All right, thank you. I would do Legion's voice, but I can't really synthesize it without blowing out the mic. So.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I heard it earlier. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. We got time for a few more questions here.
Oh, yeah, we got 5 minutes, so we got to work through everybody's line.
Let's do it.
Hello, Mark. Happy to see you.
Hello.
My question for you is, you've been in this business a while, basically since the 90s going back. What's the main difference you've seen in working in the voice acting industry now compared to back when you first started?
The main difference, well, I'll tell you, even like going from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 3, the main difference is how many trees we have saved. Because, as I mentioned, there was a huge amount of dialogue in Mass Effect 1, and of course, because of the branching nature of the plot and having to cover all the bases, it just exponentially got bigger and bigger from 2 to 3. So in Mass Effect 1, like at the end of the week, the recycling bin, the pile in it, would literally be as tall as a person. Like there would be that much paper sitting in the recycling bin. And when we switched over to using iPads, man, like entire swaths of forest, I'm sure, were saved. So yeah, that is a big difference.
Nice. Thank you, Mark. I should
welcome.
go.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the right height.
Yay.
Hooray.
This is very exciting. It doesn't happen very often.
We set it for you.
Thank you. So, as a DM, do you have a preference towards sending your players into a more traditional, layered dungeon, the town, something happens in the town, we go in the dungeon? Or do you prefer to mix it up a bit and use more non-traditional settings?
I mean, sometimes it is fun to just do a plain old-fashioned dungeon crawl. Like you enter a room, there's an orc and a chest. Yeah, that's fun. When I do those, it tends to almost be sort of a referential parody to those sort of setups. Like I did one recently where it was literally, that was the dungeon. It was like some goblins were running the world's shortest dungeon, which was one room that was 10 by 10, and an orc and 10 gold pieces in a chest. So I tend to go a little more conceptual these days with mine. Like they're often like multi-planar, spanning all kinds of things. I did a Halloween game recently that's called Liar's Night at the Yawning Portal. I run that often at D&D in a castle when we do it around Halloween. And that one is sort of like a magical mystery tour of Halloween. It's very much influenced by the Halloween tree, like by Ray Bradbury, where it's sort of like you get to go to Ravenloft and you'll get to do like a headless horseman bit and, you know, just a little sampler, a grab bag of Halloween. So yeah, I tend to go a little more conceptual, but like I say, a dungeon crawl can be very fun to return to.
Thank you. I should go.
I should go.
I like that one. All right, 2 more.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello again.
I remember way back when you did a bunch of fantasy skits on Caution TV where you were a wizard.
That's right, yes.
From the vault.
I remember that you told me that you wrote for those. But
I did.
I was wondering what was the thought process that made you come up with all those ridiculous skits?
Well, so this was a show called Caution May Contain Nuts, which was a straight-up sketch comedy show, and it was actually a precursor to Tiny Plastic Men. It was the same production company. So I did that one first, and I was one of the writers on that. And I wanted to get as much nerd culture stuff in as I wanted. You know, it all started from one sketch, which was inspired by a little one-panel cartoon in the old Dungeon Master's Guide, where it was basically about people living in a fantasy world just role-playing as if they were people with boring jobs.
Right.
And so that, you know, I did this one sketch where, you know, a party shows up at an inn, you meet at a tavern, and then you find out that they're meeting up just to play a game where they roll dice to see if they can pay their taxes, and they roll dice to see, you know, it's just like, oh, the cable guy didn't show up, you know, that sort of thing. So that was just that one sketch, and that proved popular enough that I wrote several additional sketches. I think the one that we were talking about earlier is the one where the wizard is really stoned. Yes, called The Halfling's Leaf.
Personally, my favorite was the endangered dragon bit.
Oh, right, yeah. I didn't actually write that one. It was one of the other cast members wrote that.
That one line, it's like, he had a knife.
Yes.
It just gets stuck in my head.
It's like, it was self-defense. The dragon had a knife. So yeah, once those Dungeons and Dragons-based sketches took off, I wrote some of them, but then once they got popular, everyone wanted on the bandwagon. So yeah, a bunch of the other writers, they wrote Dungeons and Dragons sketches. That was cool too because it really saved on, when you're writing a sketch comedy show, if you can just shoot a bunch of sketches where you're all wearing the same costumes, it really saves on time.
Right.
So that was another practical reason why we wrote a bunch of those. So yeah, it was basically just things that interested me about D&D, or obviously the Halflings Leaf one was very Lord of the Rings influenced. It was just like Gandalf is stoned all the time. That was basically it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, Caution May Contain Nuts, I believe, is also available on YouTube if you look up those sketches.
We've hit our time, but let's do it really quick while we're here. Yeah.
Commander. So every time you play Mass Effect, what is your go-to Paragon choice that you have to do on every playthrough, and also your go-to Renegade choice that you have to do on every playthrough?
I don't know if I have a go-to Paragon choice necessarily. It'll be situational and depend on, what's going on. But my go-to Renegade choice, and I'm sure the Renegade choice that everyone, no matter whether Renegade or Paragon, do always pick, is killing Kai Lang. Yeah. I don't know of anybody who did not pick the Renegade Interrupt in that. And you know what?
Yes.
Probably also pushing that guy out the window.
There you go. Keela Salai.
All right.
Keela Salai. Thank you very much.
Sounds good.
And thank all of you.
Thank you for being here. You can meet Mark in Hall B, as well as, if for some reason, time constraints, you have to leave early. Very active on Cameo as well, and happy to do some Commander Shepard shout-outs for you.
That is true. As mentioned, I'm going to be hosting the cosplay contest tomorrow, which means that if you're here tomorrow, my signing time will be very limited, only about an hour in the morning, and then I got to get into costume. So thank you all. I will be at my table for the rest of the day. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Very well, Mark.